Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Unscripted and Unchoreographed. I am your host, Neve, and I am very, very excited today to have an incredible artist, theater maker. How are you doing, Laura?
I'm good. I'm excited.
How did you get into the arts? Was it something that was in your family, or just like something maybe happened later in your teens, or like has it always been there?
Yeah, so the first thing I immediately think of is my mom always saying that when she was a child, she always wanted to do theater, but she never got into it. Yeah, it's like, so I feel like I think I got the genes of wanting it, but actually did it. I think in the Netherlands, we have in elementary school, it's really a thing to at the end of your year, you do what we call a weeksluiting, which is the literal translation means week closing, but it's actually a performance or a play you do with your class and you show the entire school. It's really adorable, and I think we start doing it around the fourth, like I don't know if that's the correct translation to English, but around when you're 7 or something like that. So it's really young. At least at my school, it was a thing that we did this, and I think around then it was just the interest and the exciting like thought of just getting in a role and acting and making something. And I remember when I was, I think, like 9, we did a play, and I was a cleaning lady, but I had a lot of lines for my own, and I wore this long, like, cleaning lady jacket that was way too big for me, and I had my nice little cleaning supplies. And I got so into it. And I remember at the end, there were like parents coming to me and saying, "You were so good. You carried the play." And my ego grew. So, of course, I loved it. That was like my interest then growing. And we have in the Netherlands, there was one school when I went to high school that had a theater module in it. So that meant that you did just the basic subjects and everything. But with those subjects, you also got theater lessons. And we got drama lessons, we got dance lessons, we got music, singing. It was quite a lot, and it was your first 3 years of high school. And I specifically chose to go to that school just so I could do the theater, because I was like, this is something fun. That's when it really grew, the love and the excitement for it. And I remember in my final year of high school, you start thinking about, okay, what kind of study am I going to do? Where am I going now? And I feel like it's a universal thing of being told theater, but you can't make money out of that. What are you going to do with your life? And I was like, okay, well, then I won't do theater. I don't do that. Because I was like, I want to be an actor. And I eventually chose to do a study for being a teacher. Did that for 1 year and then found out, shoot, I really, really miss theater. But I chose that study because there were also some drama elements in it. And I was like, then I can still do theater. And I remember my parents then saying to me, okay, but Laura, if you really, really want to do theater, and this is what it is, and this study is not the right place, trying to become a teacher, and just do it if you really want that. So I took a gap year, and then decided to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And then I stumbled upon this study. It's a really long name, the Artist Educator in Theater and Media. And I was like, okay, this is great. I also looked at some like acting courses and studies, but I think the moment when I did the audition is when I realized, I like acting, but I much rather prefer to be the one behind the wheels and having the lines of finding out what it is. And also with theater and with your art, actually, like, not only making something that is entertainment, but something that can either mean something to people or actually put something in action. And I like that this study, I went to like a talk about it, or a day where they showed all the studies, and they told me this, and they're like, it's everything and all. And I was like, that, I have to do that. And then I did audition, and then I got here. Woo, and now I'm in my 4th year.
Congratulations! That is so fascinating. I kind of want to. I have so many questions. Sorry. I want to kind of get back, just because when you were saying like primary or elementary school, like in the education system in the Netherlands, is the arts valued the same as like say maths or other subjects, or is it you seem to have it from a very, very young age?
Your own teacher would like do them or direct them with you, and there would be a standard script, like you would buy one and then you would do it with a class and you would work, I think, like a few months on it, maybe 2 months, and then every week you would have one day where we would be an hour about that. But I do remember as well that like I think we had some drama lessons as a kid. I think before, like maybe like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, would be valued way less. Like drama or music would be up there. We always had music lessons, very big, drama less, but nowadays it's way bigger. And also that not only, I think in our teacher studies, like the one that I wanted to do, they also include literally drama lessons. So you as a teacher are also capable of teaching it, but of course it's different when you literally studied for it. So some schools also like to just hire like a drama teacher as a guest teacher to every week on the Wednesday we have drama, or like every week on the Wednesday we have music. And it used to be bigger with music, but now drama teachers are also in there. Yeah, I think it's appreciated more. I think that's and they see the value in it. That's also the thing.
That's so cool. It kind of bouncing off that in terms of like the specific course you're doing now and you're in your final year. Can you explain or maybe take us through like what kind of modules are you studying, or like what is a day in the life of you doing your course currently?
Yes, Artist Educator in Theater and Media. Yeah. It used to be, I think when I first started, it used to be theater teacher, but they changed it in my second year, and they also changed our curriculum because for the reason that they find, and I find that as well, that theater teacher doesn't incorporate everything that we do. So when we are graduated, we give ourselves the title an artist educator. So we are artists that educate with the art that we make, but also we ourselves are educators. So it's kind of this new title that we're trying to bring into the world by also calling ourselves, hey, I'm an artist educator. So I personally really like that, but it was also just a search of what is this term? What does it mean to me? But I think like how I explain it and also how the course explains it is artist educator. It's this term for 4 pillars in our work, and they are, let me think about it. You're a maker, you're an educator, or like a teacher, you could say, researcher, and activist. Or change maker could also be change maker, activist. And maker is just, yeah, you create, you make art, you direct, but you also performance based. We also get taught in movement theater. It's crazy big. Then the educator part is we get also disciplined in teacher, how do you handle kids, how do you handle a classroom, but also arts education in general. Okay, if I'm going to work at a theater company, how do we connect this to the youth, or how do we get more youth into the theater? We make a program about going to schools and make a play to teach them about this. That's like the education part. Then we got researcher. We're always researching, always in search of how can we create, how can we develop, researching. And I think research, if you're talking about theater or you're making, you're also a researcher. You're always a researcher in that sense. And the fact of the activist or the change maker, I think that with our work, you're never making something that's purely entertainment based, or I just do this for fun. There has to be a certain fire inside of you, or a reason that you're walking through the street or outside and you're like, this is what I find important, this is what I see in the world, and this is what I want to change or like activate people on. And those 4 things combined, that's our study. And I think in the sense of if you're or if you're a teacher, you're trying to how do I say this, you're trying to make your art, or in all of the sense, we have this term that's called a leading learner, which is a way of saying that if you're going to work with people, if you're going to teach them, if you're going to work with kids, if you're going to, I don't know, if you're going to make art, you are not above people, or you're not I'm teaching you this, or I'm the director, I will write the script and I will do everything. No, you are a leader, but you are a learning leader, a learning leader, leading learner. It's that. So if you're gonna have a play and you're working with youth, we're very much always having to make tasks or like we give them assignments in a way that they can make their own material. We dive into a subject together. They can create, they can write text. We're helping with them. They give it to us. We do something with that, and then we create together. I think that's kind of the way of saying it. And I really like that. Some people don't like that, but it is the way that our study approaches theater making, to do it together.
What advice would you give to someone who is trying to be, I'm going to slightly shorten the title down a way, to an artist educator?
I think it's always so funny because when people audition for our course, they always, a lot of different courses, also like this one. There's the same one in Arnhem. Well, there are courses that are still called the theater teacher, but people always come to this study and they always say, "Wow, it's so easygoing and the teachers are so approachable." People tend to think that our study is easier to get into. I don't think that is. But I think our study, and if you're trying to get in, we really look at not your capabilities from the beginning, like are you capable, are you already at this level, but are you able to grow? Because that's literally what the study helps you in. So the audition process, it's you're making, you're creating, you're directing, it's really incorporates everything. You're getting assignments to do. And like sometimes things go bad, or any artist can know that, like, okay, it's not going the way it's going. It's not going what I thought it is. But it is about the capability of looking at the situation, maybe taking a step back and being like, okay, but how am I gonna continue with this? Am I gonna work, if there's a rock in your path, are you gonna walk around the rock and ignore it, or are you gonna grab your shovel and ram through the rock and break to the point of what's inside of it? Like, I think that's what our study really looks at, like your ability to reflect, your ability to try stuff out, to be bold. Like, it's nothing wrong with being observant in that way, but like sometimes even observant people see more. But yeah, I think that's. So it's like I don't know what kind of advice I would give. I think try to be open, try to look at yourself, be observant. But it's also, these things are also something that you kind of just have in you or don't have it. Like, you also learn these things over time, but sometimes we have really young students, like 17-year-olds getting accepted, but we also get 26-year-olds accepted. Like, it's fine, but it's just your ability to grow and your ability to reflect and take on challenges, I think, step into uncomfortable zones, not be afraid to try something new, and really, that's most important, really have a reason why. If you don't have a reason why am I making, why do I like this? It doesn't have to be big. You don't want to change the whole universe by saying, I'm going to make art and it's going to be big. But if there's one little thing inside you that's like, this is the reason, this is what I want to do, that's plenty enough. But that's also what they really look at. I think that's important.
Laura, in terms of the theatre industry in the Netherlands, what is it like? Is there like certain trends you've noticed recently? Is it very commercial? Is there a lot of advising? Or what is the theatre industry like in the Netherlands?
Theater it's still everywhere. It's like in every city or village there can be some type of theater, but it's still very big in like the big cities. So we have the Randstad, I don't know how you say that, but it's all the cities that are surrounding Amsterdam. So you got Amsterdam, Rotterdam, The Hague, Groningen. It's all like that. It's just most of the stuff is there, which is nice and good. But also our study, which I also like, we're very much seeing like, okay, it's all there, but how can we get it into like the smaller villages, the smaller places? So I think that's something that's really noticeable in the Netherlands. We do have there's just a lot of, how would you say that? a lot of diversity in what's there to offer, or what they offer. So yes, we have the big plays that are in the theater, like the typical old theater, everyone just in the seat and you standing there. But there's a lot of location theater, there's performance space, there is social theater, community art. I think there's so much. Like, you can drown in whatever, like, everything there still is. Like, and I think there's like, there's a BIS. I don't know what the full translation is, but there's like the big companies that are supplied by the government, and I think there's like 12 ones for the grown-ups and like 12 ones for the kids, which are like every little place, and I think those are pretty all around the country. So yeah, I'm not sure about if there's a typical trend or something going on. I think community art and social art is getting way more popularity, just also because government funding is bigger in that sense. Like, people are realizing or seeing now the of theater also for social change and in communities, and that's why I think there's money there. So people tend to like also go towards that. Like, if I'm talking about Zwolle, the place where I am, and I'm gonna stay here also because there's job opportunities here, and mostly in social art, because just the government likes to see it, and there's money there, and there's jobs, and there's places, and I really like that, because that means that they're trying to also use theater in a way of like really connecting to what's happening now. And
that's very cool. Is there something that you would really like to do, that you're like, I have this thing that I need to do, or maybe something like in a few years that you'd like to try?
so I think it'd be nice also, this is just to at least have something that's like somewhat of a steady job, as in just get something to like two days in a week. Okay, I give workshops or I give the drama lessons, which like maybe isn't exactly theater, because for me drama and theater is also, there's a difference in it, but it's like, yeah, that's also something. And then, but I think it'd be nice to do that, and then hopefully go as an, I think the word is an entrepreneur, I think, of like getting via jobs. I think that's just something interesting to do, and hopefully something in the like community art or social art, something like that. But what I also like is that in Zwolle there's, I think, 2 or maybe even more places that offer research courses or projects. I think something like that. The big theater in Zwolle is called Zwolse Theaters. They offer this kind of like an artist in residence, where you have like, I think, 2 months to fully dive into something that really fascinates you, and you get the money from them. So they give you the money, you can pay yourself, you can pay the project. But it's a way of making the being in your studies safe in this little world, and suddenly the work field is really big. So they offer this in a way that you can show yourself a bit better to the work field, but also, okay, you get money, you're paying yourself, you have funds for your project, you are still able to try everything that you want. It's like this work, that's what they're calling. It's like this platform for recent graduates to still be able to research and develop themselves, but also get a little bit closer and step themselves fully into the work field. I think that would be really nice for me to do something like maybe the thing that I'm gonna do for my final year. Maybe I can dive deeper into it. Like, okay, this is what I did now in my study for my final year. Now, if I'm gonna take what I did and go into this project, maybe I can learn more or dive deeper into it and develop it further. I think something like that is really nice. It's just a nice way to ease yourself into it.
It's
And there's people even still talking about it, that it isn't enough. Like we need more. And I'm already, like, if I'm thinking about comparison to other places, I'm like, we already got it really good. But I can respect that it's like they're really trying to provide for, okay, upcoming artists, and how can we help you, but also put you in a position that you allow yourself and others allow you to still be able to explore. You're not done when you graduated. You're not perfect, you don't know everything, probably don't know shit, sure, you probably don't know anything, and you're still trying to find out, okay, what do I like, what do I want? And it's nice that the work field, as in how we say it, offer you a place to be like, okay, here, come try out, explore. We give you this space to just play around, and I really appreciate that. So I'm happy that we have that as Zwolle. I think they have it in a lot of places, Amsterdam as well, or I think it's quite a. I think Groningen also has it. This is just what I know at the top of my head. But I like that there are platforms that provide it.
What's your kind of definition, comparison between the differences between drama and theater?
I thought so. Yeah, I know. This is the thing, because this is also, we also talked about this at school. But I'm gonna see if I can go about it, because how should I say it? I feel like drama is also something that's, I see more as a subject, as in like you teach the. But this is just, this is not facts. This is just my idea about it, or like, because I'm also thinking in the Netherlands we also have the word toneel, which is like also a word to call theater. So you have drama, toneel, and theater, and it's sometimes people misuse them, and I'm like, no, I'm a theater maker. But because I also feel like theater includes more, as in you can also make theater about composition. Okay, how do you put the places in where's your decor gonna be in the place? How does this affect the audience? Movement theater, just everything. And I feel like drama is more of a. I think drama just includes more skill, or how do you say it? Maybe drama, in my opinion, focuses more on also your social development, as in where theater, in my opinion, is like everything incorporated, or like drama is more using certain exercises or theater exercises and to incorporate social development. It's also, I think, because drama is the word that we have for, if you're at school or high school, sometimes they have drama lessons. It's literally drama. It's never get called theater. And the ones that I've given or interned at, it's always about using it in a way to develop social, emotional states of the children. So I feel like that's why every time the term drama used, I'm like, no, I don't do drama, even though there is overlapping. But I think it's also just the language of, like, in the Netherlands, it feels just so different. But that's how I see it. I think toneel is more about toneel. It literally means the scene that is happening on stage. I think that's the word for it. So toneel is usually described as a way of, okay, this is the black box. We are playing a scene with text, very much text-based. So character talks to character. That's toneel, like happening on a stage. I really don't like that term. I'd rather have someone say drama, I think, than toneel. It sounds for me, it feels very simple, black and white, or this is it, boxed in. And I just like the fact that theater incorporates it all. So I also feel like with toneel, there's just a stereotypical this is toneel, maybe a bit elite.
Do you have any upcoming projects that are happening in your final year?
I wanted to mention that because, well, the place that I'm interning at and the place that I'm making a play with, it's not a company, but they're a collection, or they call it a toneelvereniging. So I teach theater there, but let me see if I can, just because it's good to know. That's the word, an association. And it's like there's a lot of volunteers working at it, so they don't get funding. It's just them doing it, and the students who go there, the kids or the youth, they do pay, but it's also to fund the plays, to fund us as directors. But they call it a toneelvereniging, and we intern there, me and a classmate, and I direct the children group, which is aged 8 to 12, and then she directs the youth group, which I think now is 15 to 22, and then we are each other's directing assistants, so she helps me and I help her, which is really nice. So you can have someone to talk to. And then I think my lessons is really short. It's 1 hour. So 5 until 6, and she has 6 until 7:30 every Tuesday. So tomorrow I go back. Yeah, it's really cute. It's also that this group, the kids are called Bries, which means breeze, and it's really sweet. It's like breezing a new air into theater, or like learning via theater. And the older group are called Jacht, which means I think hunt. I think hunt is the name for it. So we've been teaching them from I think September now every week, and then until March. And then March we're gonna have a play, which is open for people to visit, which is really sweet. And it's also the first time for Bries, the group that I'm doing, that they're still. It's the first year that they're together. It's the first year that it exists. But because last year there was a lot of, I just say that people wanted to go or have a space for the children to also join in, because the other group was 15 until 22. So that's why they started it. So it's all a bit trying to figure out and seeing how it works. And also for me, because I'm a theater maker, and that's plays, it's a toneelvereniging. So toneel. So it's also for me, okay, what am I going to do here? And also, what do I give to the children? So the first lesson, it's always trying to see what do they know about theater, what's like, are they comfortable in it? And what every kid or every person, maybe even grown-ups, the idea of theater is, I am person A, I am person B, we are on stage, I say something, you say something. Very much psychological, how do you call that? Like, very much talking from the emotion, trying to make it realistic. So more abstract stuff, or physical theater, movement theater, don't know about that, which I get, because that's usually it's just it's the stereotype, or what people tend to see, even though if you go to the theater you almost never see that. It's always very more experimental. So I find it even harder to see theater that's literally text theater with person A, B talking to each other. But that's because I go to the theater. So for me, with the kids, it was just, okay, the first half of all these lessons of this half year that I have with them, I have to see if I can broaden their vision of what theater is. Because for me, that was something that's really important. And also to show them that it's really fun if you just see all the different parts of theater and all that you can do with it. Because yes, text-based and scenes are great, but there's so much more stuff you can do. And it's so nice to just discover that with them. And I also like that I could see that when we did something with costumes, like I bought 2 big bags of costumes, and we did tasks. I gave them tasks and assignment to walk around the room, and the costumes were scattered, and put the music on, and I would count down, and they have to try to get as many garments on as possible, which of course is going to be a skirt for a hat and a thing and a shoe in a hand, which makes you look like this very, very absurd creature. And then they would have to slowly melt down into the costumes or hide themselves so they wouldn't be seen, or they have to meet someone and see if they could swap a garment by holding hands or something like that. It's just really fun little things. And if you just take a step back and you're looking at it, then you're like, that's theater, that's what's happening, which for me is great to see. But for those kids, it's still like, oh, this is fun and we're playing around. Because of course I can get that they don't see, oh, I'm doing theater now. But it's nice to see that like they can do this, and it can be really fun, and it can be engaging, and it's literally just playing around and me giving the borders of what they can do, giving them a directed task. They play around in that task, and then it's theater. So there's so much that you can do with it. So I really liked it, of just exploring, but still kids, and I think they still really like the idea of just having a role and having text. Because even though after I don't know how many lessons, I think it's 20 lessons, and how many times I've explained it or how many times I've showed it with them, I still get the question, so when are we gonna get our roles? Are we getting our script? Can I get many lines? And I'm like, guys, I tried so hard. So it's always a process for them and for me. And they're probably going to be there next year with a new teacher, because I think it's also nice for me to try something else. And maybe they can, like, if the kids get back, they can like experience new things. So that, and we're now working on a play, which is in the 27th and 28th of March, which is mostly just also trying to see we've done a bunch of things and incorporating the things that we've already done, and me giving them like certain small tasks or assignments for them to create and make. They give it back to me, I make a script about it, and then we're gonna do it. But it's based around a theme, because I do like the idea of having a theme and also having something that resonates with the kids. So it's something that I like, that I think is, if you're looking at it from an artistic point, is interesting. And for the kids, it's something that they can, either it resonates, or they can have how do you say that? Have philosophical conversations about it. I think that's the word. Philosophical conversation about it. So I picked the theme different, being different in a sense, because I always felt as a kid, okay, I felt different. But if you're talking about different, it can be as simple as you make it, but you can talk about, okay, but what is being different? What does it mean to be normal? Or what's the opposite of different? Is the opposite of different normal, or is the opposite of different the same? Being the same, okay, what would happen if everyone was the same? How would the world look like? And I gave them writing tasks about it to write, or we talked about it. One girl brought up, and what if all animals were the same? Would they all want to have either feathers, or would they all want to have a fur? And you can make it as broad as you want, because they can also think about themselves. Do I feel different? We had conversations about some of them being bullied at school, which can be very heavy, but it's also, you can look at it from a standpoint. Oh, and then why is that? And why are those other kids the same? And they're like, oh yeah, those kids are like 3 girls all the same. So isn't that boring? Or it's stuff like that. And then I fit those thoughts. I fit it into a mold, and we made it into a kind of story about 2 flats. So we have 2 flats that are right next to each other in the city, unknown city. And one flat is the flat of Mr. Different, and the other flat is the flat of Ma'am the Same. So they're both 2 flat owners, and in the flat of Mr. Different, every inhabitant, they're all different. So one is always late, one always has their chairs differently. It's crazy. And then the other flat, everything is the same. They all walk in the same line, all follow the same rules. Very much like having a mask in front of them. So we're working with masks. They all have cool masks that they wear, because I liked it. I thought that was interesting. Or making scenes about them all doing the exact same thing, or them doing different stuff. So it's really cute. It's nice. It's very quickly. It's going to be the play. So it's up to me to now figure it out together and rehearse with them, because the upcoming repetitions, I think it's just going to be a lot of rehearsing. Yeah. So it's what we call in our study, it's the finals festival. So it's the finals. It's like the final step before you're going into the work field. And it always feels very big, and it's this final moment. But I do like that our course also makes it a bit smaller, because it's a place where you can present your final work, as in something, the thing that you make, your performance, your play. But they're also open. It's also a place where you can make maybe a lecture performance about the research that you've done. Because in our fourth year, we have 3 like big projects that you're doing, some actually simultaneously, which is you do a make, which is you create something artistic. It can be a documentary, it can be a film, it can be a play. That's what most people do. You do a research, so you make a research paper, but it can also come out as a podcast. Some people did a podcast. Some people put the research that they've done into a workshop, that. And then you have context, which is your internships that you're doing. So the places that you're going to, but it's also if you are making something with kids, like my make that I'm doing is also with the kids, but it's also my context, because I'm doing it in the context of the space that I'm in. So usually what people do is present their make on the finals festival, because most of the time it's what we as theater makers, the main thing that we do is make plays or make performances. So that's what we show, and it's a way of us as a class to finalize our course, do it as the one thing together. Just today we had the photo shoot for the promotion of the finals festival, because where we make a house style. I think that's the word, like the kind of colors that we're using, the theme that's going on. I can't say that our theme is like roaring 20s vibe. It's very, yeah, it's the roaring 20s. We're doing it black and white because previous years had a lot of colors, and we're like, no, we as a class, we want to make statements. We're going to go black, white, roaring 20s, very bold, very sharp corners, or very like big, extravagant. We got the posters, we got the personal pictures. It's also a way of just showing ourselves to the work field, like, here we are going to be graduated. Look at us. We're artists. Show it. So that, yeah. I can talk about what I'm gonna do, maybe a little bit. Yes, I'll do that. Usually, or last week, I changed my plan completely, which is something very bold. And you would think that my teachers would be like, oh, are you sure you're gonna do that? No, I told my mentor today, I said, hi, I'm changing my plan completely. I wanted to let you know that. And she went, yes, do that. Great. And I was like, yes, because I'm actually gonna do something that I like. She was like, yes, that's what you want. Every teacher up to now has said that. We have great teachers. Another reason why people should do this study. Really lovely teachers. Because first I was diving into documentary theater with my research, because I like the fact of, I find it very interesting, the fact of getting something from real life, taking something from real life, which usually is non-fiction. That's this world of non-fiction and real life, and then you're putting it into the domain of theater, which is most of the time fictions. It's unseen moments. You're putting it into a fixed time and place, and I like that those two worlds connecting. The world of like facts, fiction, the border of truth that you're walking with it. I love it. I think it's really interesting. So I was like, okay, that's my research. I have no idea what I'm gonna do for a performance though at my finals festival. Maybe I can make a lecture performance about it. Maybe I can do something. I will play myself because I also like acting. And it was nice. It was a good idea, or it was okay, but I wasn't really feeling it. I liked the research part, but it was just really pulling on me, like, oh, I have to make a performance now out of this. And I was connecting themes to it because I was like, I was just not really going for it. So I parked it because I still really like it. Maybe I can do something later with it when I'm graduated. But there was a side project that I was doing since the beginning of the year that I was doing for myself, which is kind of a passion project that I called, because I said I wasn't going to do it for school. I wanted to do it for myself purely because I liked it. And it was based on a book that I had read 2 years ago. 1 year ago? I think it was 1 year ago. And this summer I reread it again, and I was underlining stuff because I liked it. And at certain moments I was writing down, this is a great monologue. This could be such a cool moment if you're going to put it in a theater production. And there was a movie about it, and I watched the movie, and I liked it, but I thought it totally defeated the purpose of the book. And I had the idea, and I was like, but if you put this in a theater production, you can, because like in a film there's so much that you can capture with the camera. Like I feel with theater you can get the philosophy behind the character, you can get their thoughts about it. There's just so many opportunities. So with film, of course, there's a lot as well, but I just thought the idea of putting it in production was great. So the book is If Cats Disappeared from the World, which is a great book. It's really interesting. And so the passion project that I was doing was thinking of making an adaptation of the book for theater, and I really liked it, and I was doing it in the meantime. So during the year when I was thinking about what am I gonna do for the finals festival, I still thinking about how to put my research into the theater, still walking against this wall. And when I was explaining that to my teachers, saying like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for my finals, I don't know, so I'm really in a rough spot. But you know what else I'm doing really fun, what I do like, I'm making this adaptation of this book. I'm not doing it for school though, because I just want to do it for myself. And I think I kept repeating that for weeks until the point that my teacher said, Laura, you gotta sit down. And my classmate as well. Why aren't you doing this for your finals festival? And I said, because I want to have time for it. It's really something that's special to me. And I think artists I think a lot of artists can relate to it. Like, if it's something you really, really like, it's also very scary to do it because you're going to put it out there. It's going to be known. This is going to be your thing. You're going to have to work with it. What if it doesn't go the way you want to? Okay, I'm going to work with an actor. What if the actor can't act? Oh my God. And then am I going to have to play it then myself? It's just scary. And then their reply was, yes, but now in your study, now is the opportunity to still explore it. You got the resources. You got people to discuss it with. And it's nice. I think the biggest reason was them saying, this is the one thing that you actually want to do. It's something that you like. It's something that's your passion. It's something that I thought of as well. In the fourth year that I did my study, I had plenty of projects that I loved, but this was the one thing that I said, I'm going to do this even if it isn't for my study. I like this because I like this, because I want to make a production out of it. And I think that was plenty reason enough for me to be like, okay, if this is really something that I do because I like it, let's do it for the finals festival, because that's a good way to just enjoy your course with something that you really like doing. Yeah, I'm nervous about it though, because it's going to be in a really short time. I'm going to work on it from April until May, so it's 2 months. Before that, I hope to have finished the script, and then it's 2 months of working with an actor to make it into something. And it's going to be in a very small theater, like the smallest one in the theater, because I don't really like making performances for a very big audience, because I like if it's a small shared space that you're having together. Yeah, so up till March, I'll be finishing all my research and my internship, and then I'm done. I can just focus on this project. Yeah. I'm also I'm so excited, but it's exactly the thing of having, like, someday I can be like, yeah, I'm doing this, and the other day I'm like, oh, I'm so nervous about this. Why am I doing it? But it's exactly the thing. If you're scared about it, about doing it, that means that you really care about it. And I think if you really care about it, then it's something that has to be put out in the world, because, I mean, we're artists, and we also, I feel like as artists, you just see some stuff that some people, or the normal people, maybe don't see. So if you see something, if you care about something, if you care about a subject, it triggers you, then, like, maybe it's saying it's your right as an artist to then like put it out there and share it, even if it's not totally finished or perfect or all out there. I think that's still okay. It's also to think of what I really like that our study incorporates and that I will take with me, is that something that you make, it's never done. It's never done. And it's also just a way of, it can motivate you in a way of like, oh, it's never done. I can always work on this, which can be big, as in like you're never done with something. But it can also be an assurance to just say, okay, I'm making this. This is where I am now. I'm showing this, because it can always be better. It can always be a grander and everything, because it's a subjective art form. You can always change something, but it's just nice knowing that fact that when you present something, it's just saying to yourself, okay, this is where I got now, and that's fine. This is where I'm at. I'm happy with it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you like what it is and you just accept that fact of, yes, it can be better, but everything can be better than it is, then I feel like you make art way more peaceful, or like more assured with yourself. I don't know how to say that, but I think it becomes more fun as well, less stressful. In my third year, was it? We had a module which is called Exile, but they changed it a bit. Exile meant that it was a project where you actually were kind of forced to not be at school, because it was just a way of saying, yes, you learn stuff at school, but at school you learn it within your walls. It's good to go outside, place yourself as an artist educator that you have learned to be in school, put yourself in different contexts. You're going to be in different contexts. Try to see how you behave in those different contexts. What does it do to you? What can you do in those contexts? And one of the things that they added now was a UNESCO project, which allowed students for us to go to places like, some people went to Curacao, I think that's the word, Suriname, and there was also the option to go to Belfast. And I went to Belfast with my classmate for 7 weeks, and then with other students. And I think the module was called Art in Conflict Transformation module. I think it was about that. But it was for us to be like, okay, we're going to put ourselves into a context in Belfast. at the Schenkel, and which has so much history, so much information, so much weight, or still stuff that's going on that the place and the people hold. There are so many communities that are there, and it's not saying what can we do to solve it, or because we're just there for 7 weeks, it's so short, but I think it's just what can your presence, like, what even can you do? You're gonna be there. What are you gonna see? What are you gonna explore? What moves you, and what we even do in those 7 weeks? I think this was the struggle that we were I think day after day just struggling or with. But it's also really fun. It's such a dramatic change. You're a student from the Netherlands, from Zwolle, and then you're suddenly there living in, like, it's even big if you're gonna go on a vacation and then you're living there. But I really liked it just because it's a new place, but it's also meeting people, hearing stories, and what kind of art are you gonna make, because it's community art that we were into. We connected ourselves with communities there, and we went along with whatever they had already provided or what they were already doing there. And then we're like, okay, what can we do to add to this? And I connected, let me think, I think it was Beat Carnival and it was Denmark Street Community Center, those two places that I went to, which had kids, because I was interested in mostly in humor. Because the first, we had an information meeting about Belfast and everything that happened with the Troubles, and just for us to know. But the first thing that they told us, they said, people in Belfast, they got humor. That's a good thing to know. It might be a bit black humor, but they got humor. And I was like, great, I like that. I like making stuff with humor. And then I got interested because in Belfast, when we were walking around, there are a lot of communities based around kids or for kids. But I noticed that there weren't a lot of kids on the street, or what I'm used to is in seeing kids outside. It would usually be after 7 p.m. when there were just boys running around being bored and just doing their stuff. Or it would be a kid at the hand of their mother being picked up from school, and that was it, what you would see. So I was like, okay, if they got humor here, what would be the humor of the kids? So I had a project that was about kids' jokes and what kids' jokes could mean in a place where people either think about the past and what happened, or think about the future and how it can be better. And I was like, why aren't we thinking about just now, being in a moment, just seeing what's already happening around? And what a better way than a joke, which is just a moment that you're sharing with two people. And what a better way than a joke from a kid, which is something that's so cute and approachable. So my project was all about that, which I still really like. And I made stickers, which if you are in Belfast, look around for stickers which have kids' jokes on them. They're still really nice. And an Instagram account, Kid Quip Corner. It just has all the jokes on it. But that was such a fun project, and the place and the people there were so nice and so dedicated and devoted to the communities that, like, if I'm thinking about what I'm going to do after my study, definitely go back there, but also see if there's different places like that you can really put yourself into, learn, connect, and see what you can do, and maybe not even do anything, but just be there and learn. Like, I would love that. Just go outside of the norm of what you already know. Yes, it was a way of also what I found, that was like the spark that I had, of just showing something of the kids that are there now. Like yes, they're gonna grow up and be old, and you're gonna think about the future, and yes, history. But can we just bring something on the streets that is of the kids there now? Because we had a studio like right on the Schenkel, like the main street, and if you would walk to the supermarket, you would walk by the memorials, and it was just insane, everything that you saw. So I was just so astonished, but also it like I don't know what I can't even find the words for it. It hurt, but it was also it also blew my mind, the fact of the kids that you see on the streets are the kids that had been brutally killed and murdered, which is insane. But I was also thinking, can we remember that, but also show the kids now, be proud of these kids that are here and that are growing up in these streets and call this place their home. Like, can we bring that on then? And just having this tiny sticker that you put on this trash can with cigarettes rotting around, I think that it's just a small thing. But I remember, like, I had my Instagram account, and I remember there was the woman that I didn't know, and she sent me a message. She said, "Hi, I think I found your joke in Belfast near the near the castle. I don't remember where exactly. And she said it made me laugh. It made my day. And I was like, oh my goodness, yes. So, and it was just, maybe she's the only person that replied, but that's just one moment, and I love that. I think that's the exact thing. If you can have all these little moments, then I think that was all I could do. Like, it was 7 weeks, but just bringing that little seeds and then continuing that. Like, I've plastered the stickers all around the Netherlands, so it's everywhere. It's in my school, so I still have a stack like that. I printed like 600 of them, so they're gonna be everywhere.
What is the funniest joke that you heard from the kids?
Yes, it was so funny because it was a 7-year-old boy, and he was a bit ashamed about reading this, and he asked me if he was allowed, and I said, yes, of course, you can write down anything. So he said, what type of bees produce milk? It's boobies. It's a 7-year-old boy. He was the smallest and youngest one of the group. And I was so proud. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was hilarious. Because I also was like, this is probably a joke that his dad might have made up and he heard. Doesn't understand it, but thinks it's funny because people laugh about it. That's also the thing of kids. They're telling jokes because they like seeing people laugh and appreciate them. So it's, even if the jokes are shit and you don't understand them, you just laugh because it's a kid. So that's, like, you can do so many things with that in a sense of theater. And he was such a sweet boy. But there were so many cute kids. Like, I gave the stickers to them because that was the first thing of me wanting to have stickers, which is also something that children just have and do. A sticker, something for children, but like giving them back. And I was thinking they're gonna give it to their parents and they're gonna keep them because that's what I would do now. No, these children, like, I had like one girl in particular, she got the stickers, so she was like, oh my god, I love them, and she immediately peeled them off and stuck them onto her, like, used them immediately, wasted. And she was like, look, I am a joke now because I'm wearing the jokes. And I was like, brilliant. Yes, I made a photo of her with the biggest smile ever. And I was like, but that's exactly the example of making art in a way that doesn't have to be extremely lasting or very big. It's just having a small moment of joy. Just her sticking those stickers to me made my day in that moment, like, was amazing. And just for her, it was just that moment of her being absolutely happy. She probably forgot about it in the evening, but that doesn't matter. You can't make big changes and big plans if you're not starting with just these small moments first. So for me, that was like a realization of like, yeah, of course these kids are not going to keep these jokes. They're going to stick them everywhere immediately. Exactly.
Can I ask one last question that we ask everyone? I feel like you've kind of hinted it before, but just in case. If there's anything that you would like the government in the Netherlands or the world to do for the arts, theatre, whatever you want, you have a magic wand, what would it be?
Well, for us, we got the BTW, which is the taxes they were trying to up in the Netherlands. It luckily got back to how it, but they wanted to do it from 9% to 21%, I think it was, which is insane, and they changed it back. But it's just what's now already happening, seeing the value in theater, which they're seeing right now in social projects. But I would love to see if they can see the value in theater in the bigger picture, like how like, because even the plays that are made for just purely entertainment, which I may have been like saying, oh, I don't like that, but even that can be so impactful. It's just so broad. There's so much that you can do with it. There's so many people that you can move with all those different forms of theater. It's such a waste if you don't invest in that. So I would love for the government to see that, or to have just some, like, let's organize something for the government to go to theater and like to see I don't know, but just see that, because it's also this idea that people still have about theater, what it is when it is so much bigger, like I've been explaining, I think 3 times already. So if they just see that, I feel like it would open so many doors. I think that's a good thing.
Well, it's literally what you're doing. Theatre is not just on a stage with people sitting in the dark, paying like loads of money for rich people. There's different forms of theatre, and it should be for everybody. But thank you so, so much, Laura, for your insights, your intelligence, your passions, your ideas. I personally cannot wait to see what you do next.